Welcome, Mr. Jalan, to this wonderful program of ET Now. We're trying to pass the numbers and see what is really keeping the market where it is and why is it falling the way it is. So, in fact, I was looking at the 1,000 rupee note. I understand it was introduced for the first time, in fact, when it was during your tenure. How does it feel to have it finally phased out? It's been a long, long time. So, you were the author of it and now you're seeing the demise, the 1,000 rupee note. What are your first reactions, sir?
No, I mean, these things are changing. I mean, so my first reaction is to wait and see how it goes, because as the government has announced, they are going to introduce 2,000 rupee notes, and there has been a change in price levels and so on and so forth, as well as in incomes. So let us wait and watch, see what happens. Don't worry, okay.
The desire to tackle no, we're not really worried, because but it is going to be, at least in the short term, in the immediate term, it is going to be a bit of a logistic nightmare. So are we trying to force through change before the system is really ready to take it on? Yes, there are merits to having a less cash-based economy. It does help tackle black money, it does help tackle the entire terrorist funding, but is the system really equipped at this point of time to take on the consequences of what we are going in for?
No, I mean, you have made a very important point. I mean, this kind of a transition is difficult to, difficult to implement without a certain amount of anxiety and certain amount of uncertainty. So that point is valid, and fortunately you have till December. Am I right? I mean, you have till end of December to deal with the question of notes, depositing notes in the banks and so on and so forth, and then dealing with the new currency. So hopefully, yes, but I mean, your basic point that it causes a certain amount of turmoil in the markets, and also very difficult for, what is also important is to underline this point about that those areas in India where there is no banking system really, access to banking system, and a very large number of people who don't have bank accounts, or rather not large, majority of people, very high majority of people who don't have bank accounts and who deal in cash. So there will be some adjustment problems, and I am sure that the government will take stock of whatever is happening on the ground and then see what needs to be done.
So as far as the notes that have been chosen, 500 and 1,000, the last time the government demonetized, it was demonetized 1,000 rupee notes at a time when price levels, salary levels were very different. In fact, in 1978, when the government demonetized 1,000, I, as a probationary officer in the State Bank of India, my salary was only 1,100 rupees. So 1,000 rupees was a high value note. Can one say the same thing today about the 500 rupee note? So does it seem as if the government has been a little short-sighted in demonetizing 500? I can understand 1,000, but 500, will it not hurt the Aam Aadmi?
No. I mean, 500 certainly. I mean, it is a transitional period, and they have given a certain amount of time for us to adjust, and they would issue new 500 rupee notes. So, I mean, it's the main question and the main worry for people would be the transition period, and say from day after tomorrow or something, because those who don't have bank accounts but have 500 rupee notes, what should they do with it? You see what I mean? So that would be an issue. But let us see that the government would find a solution. The government that therefore those who are in non-urban areas which are not access to the banking system, and for you and me, we will go to our bank and deposit the 500 rupee notes. You see what I mean, in our accounts. But for those who don't have bank accounts, there is an issue if they have 500 rupee notes. So let us see how the government tackles that aspect. I'm sure they would find some remedy for that.
Absolutely. I mean, the Indian mind, especially the human mind, and the Indian particularly, is very ingenious when it comes to answers and solutions. But even for those of us who do have bank accounts, it's not going to be easy, because there's a limit of 4,000. You have to go to the bank, you have to submit it. So is it really the best way of doing it? Because there'll be long lines in front of any banks. Whatever you may say, there will be a certain amount of panic. So what is the kind of preparation that somebody in the Reserve Banks, the governor of the Reserve Bank, the bank chairman, what is the kind of preparation that they could have done and should have done to really tackle it? Or will we find it spreading like wildfire, the panic?
No, not I mean, I wouldn't use the word wildfire. I would not use the word panic. But I think the adjustment is going to be difficult within a short run. and we have to face it. For the Reserve Bank also it will be a problem, because all of us would go to the Reserve Bank counter or something and try and exchange our 500 rupee notes for 4,000 or whatever it is.
Curb black money, root out black money. Do you share his optimism, or is it slightly excessive? Is the government got a very rosy-eyed view of the entire scheme? Dr. Jalan?
No, but I think what the Finance Minister has said, to which I also listened very carefully, it was very, very positive and good, I mean, for us, in terms of what the intention is. And over a period of time, as I think he also mentioned, that it will be, easy to see what else needs to be done to make it available, make it accessible to the people who don't have a bank account. And let's hope it works out. I mean, the most crucial issue at the moment is how to increase the spread of the banking system. That is the most crucial issue. And the second related most important issue is that in rural areas or in semi-urban areas where there are no banks accounts for the poor or for the agriculturists and so on, with even large land, then what is to be done with their notes if they don't have a bank account? But hopefully over a period of time, that is in the next 4, 5, 6 days, that some process would be started whereby a person can go to the bank even if he doesn't have a bank account, except in urban areas or semi-urban or agricultural areas, that they can encash that amount for 100 rupee notes or whatever. And in any case, as the Finance Minister also said, after a while, they would also introduce 500 rupee notes and 2,000 rupee notes. So that would also help. So I think that it's a question of adjustment. It's a period which is 3-4 months it would take for us to see how it works.
Dr. Jalan, I have a question over here, because the government's entire move seems to be premised on the belief that people who have black money keep it in the form of notes. And typically we've seen that, so anecdotal evidence also seems to suggest that those who really have black money in a large quantity, they don't hold it in the form of notes. It's in the form of some other assets. So my first question to you is, will it really tackle those who are truly guilty, or will it end up penalizing small offenders, as it were? Secondly, in 1978, when the same demonetization of 1,000 rupee notes was done, exactly the same voices we heard, that it'll, curb black money, it'll bring an end to black money, and we saw that the problem just didn't disappear. So what is it about this scheme that makes it any better than what it was in 1978? So 2 questions to you, sir.
No, but you must start by saying just wait and watch. And one is that it's very sudden at the moment, and therefore people have to get used to it. Second point is about the spread of the banking system. How many people have access in our country to the banking system? That's a very low percentage. Now, if they have 500 rupee notes, what should they do? And this, I think, the government would find an answer to over a period of time. Because the most important issue that we have to tackle is not these 2 months or 3 months, but over the long run, when the 500 and 2,000 rupee notes have come into operation, I mean, that would be very good. I mean, there is no problem with the inflation being, or rather with the price rise since the 1,000 rupee notes was issued, having increased so consistently. And by and large, I think that this particular move by the government is positive. It has an intention of rooting out black money, and that part will happen. But rooting out any cash or rooting out any such problem has an immediate issue of adjustment by those who are not black money holders. Yes, I mean, that is something that we have to see, and the spread of the banking system is of utmost importance. Similarly, the government has already taken moves to start printing more 100 rupee notes, and the RBI has taken that. So hopefully that this problem would have a transitional problem, but over a period of time we will be able to tackle it. And that black money certainly would have a very positive effect in reducing black money. Of that there is no doubt.
Which are the sectors that to your mind would be most immediately impacted, most severely impacted? Is it real estate? Is it unorganized trade? Will political funding as an activity also be affected? Which are the sectors and activities that to your mind would be most affected by this move?
No, political funding being affected is a good thing. In the sense that if supposing all political funding is by checks and banking accounts and so on, then they are accountable. And we won't have that problem. So on that part, it's a very positive thing to have done. But for the agriculturists or for people who don't have access to banking system, our banking system is relatively narrow. And there would be a problem, and that has to be coped with. I mean, how the government would do it, I don't know. But it could be that through lok panchayats and things like that, they can open a window whereby this can be done, just as DBT, direct bank transfers, have been done for subsidies, which is excellent. And the same system, similar system, can be introduced, but it would require a certain amount of time. So let's hope that the government would face this problem of the banking system, where there is no access to the banking system, but people have been trading in currency. What is it that can be done? And so far as black money is concerned, it's a very positive move, and we should take it that way.
Oh, well, absolutely, except that one is not sure that the system is yet prepared for it, because you spoke of the need to increase bank coverage, and nobody disputes that's very critical. But another very important prerequisite really is a need for net connectivity. Even in the cities and metropolitan areas, we've seen very often when you swipe the card, there is no net connectivity. So cashless transactions are just not possible even in metros like Delhi and Bombay. So what kind of cashless transaction can we really have in the remote areas of India until such time as you ensure that there is net connectivity along with that? E-wallets, mobile payments, all these become meaningless unless you have the supporting infrastructure. So have we put the cart before the horse in some way?
No, I mean, I don't use the word cart before the horse, but the horse and the cart have to go simultaneously, yes. That point that you've raised is valid. And what I think can be done, for example, is include post offices. I mean, in the rural areas and everywhere else, we have a vast expansion of post offices. They are owned by the government, and there is money order and there is so on. So in what way can we also utilize the services of the post office for providing access to people who don't have bank account? This is of utmost importance, and I hope it will be done. The government has already announced that they will provide this kind of financial, or rather, if I remember it correctly, that the government has said that the post offices will also be as a part of the financial structure, where they can provide certain amount of banking transaction or do certain amount of transactions. So let us hope that it would work out. The only point I would make, and that is of utmost importance also, that the government should take stock of whatever problems arise and try and resolve them for the benefit of the people. And that is the intention, and the major gain would be that black money would not be any more be that attractive as it was the case earlier. And if I may make this point also, that you have to accompany all this with a simplicity in the taxing system, that the system of our taxation, the procedure for taxation, etc., should become much more simplified than it is in terms of steps, in terms of time taken, and so on and so forth. But all these are interconnected problems, and I am sure the government will tackle it. To begin with, we should take it positively, in a positive way, and make sure that it works.
Well, absolutely. The intent is entirely admirable. But my question was on whether we have the supporting infrastructure, which is so critically important. But my last question to you, sir, before I let you go, is that we've seen the market fall very dramatically today. To your mind, is this a response to what we're seeing in the US presidential elections, or is it more to do with the government's move in terms of black money?
No, I mean, it's very hard to predict, but the two are connected, and the markets haven't fallen all that sharply, as you can see. The Dow Jones is, I'm told, is showing an improvement. Am I right? So if that happens,
it did improve from the dramatic lows, yes.
Yeah. So what I'm saying essentially is that let's wait and watch how the market reacts and so on. But I hope that if the government is responsive to any problems that arise on the ground, and it resolves them and makes a determination to resolve them, then this would be a very, very positive move, because elimination of black money is of utmost importance, particularly in real estate, in land, not only real estate in terms of buildings, but also land.
Absolutely. So I couldn't agree with you more, and I hope you're entirely right on this, and that we have the supporting infrastructure so that the ordinary citizen does not suffer. But on that note, let me thank you very much for joining us on ET Now. And with that, it's back to you, Bombay.
Thank you.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.